How would it feel if in 1 year from now you didn't have any credit card debt or a car payment, or you were actually investing into your retirement? Or maybe you were able to take that dream vacation that you've been thinking about. I'm telling you, it can happen with what we're going to talk about today. Hey, I am Marty. Welcome to Money Mondays, where we talk all things budgeting because I know it works. And how I know it works is my husband and I paid off close to $200,000 of consumer debt. I'm talking credit cards, car payments, student loans, medical debt, IRS debt, all of the personal loans to family members. Like, we had it all, and we paid it off using a budget and the baby steps. Thanks, Dave Ramsey. If you have not read this book, I am telling you, you should read this book. You should listen to his podcast. You should do the things he tells you because it works. If you are not a Dave Ramsey fan, maybe try again because it works. We paid off $200,000 in debt. We had an emergency fund. We were investing in a college fund. We were paying extra on our house. We were investing in our personal retirement funds. And then I got diagnosed with breast cancer and everything stopped. I went through treatments and chemo and all the things. And the focus in that season was to get me healthy. But when I say everything stopped, I mean everything stopped, including us doing a budget. But now that I'm on the other side of that, we're getting back on the budget bandwagon because we know it works. We have some financial goals to start investing in our retirement funds again, the college funds again, working on paying off the house, and some other fun dreams that we have. So we need to tell our money where to go and how to do it. I'm telling you, a budget is how we're doing it. So on Money Mondays, that's what we're talking about. In this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about, this is episode 1. If you are interested, if you are like, oh, I need this in my life, I want to have a different financial outlook in a year, then I want you to hit follow for more. Every Monday, we're going to be doing these. So today is a zero-based budget. Now, I mentioned that we paid off almost $200,000 in debt. We did that with the baby steps. We did that with the debt snowball. That can be a whole different episode. So if you're curious in the debt snowball, tell me below and I can break that down, or do a Google search or go listen to Dave talk about it. But that's what we did. We literally have followed every single one of the baby steps that he talks about. And we did that. But if you want some more, maybe we'll do a video on that. So you can tell me in the comments below if you're like, yeah, I need that. But for today's focus, we are talking about a zero-based budget, okay? Budgeting simply tells your money where to go. Now, we have found where we have failed, where the months that have been really hard, or the things that when we were first learning how to do it, there was like a few things that kept popping up over and over and over. And those things were that we didn't know where we were spending our money and we didn't write it down. So that is like kind of the main purpose of a budget, is to focus on those things. The other things is when we didn't track it. So we either wrote the budget and then we just got lazy through the month. Mostly me. I usually do the tracking of it once a month or once a week. I go back in and look at the budget. Or we weren't on the same page. So Joe and I had different expectations for the month, and then we get mixed up somewhere. Or we didn't give every dollar a job, because that's the whole point. We're giving every dollar a job so that it can go and work for us, and we know where it's going so that we can pay off our debt, save, pay off our home, other financial goals. Okay? So let's jump into the zero-based budgeting, how to do it, how we do it, and some basic things that we've learned along the way. We're giving every dollar a job. We've talked about that. Here's how you do it. You literally take your income, so whatever you make in a month, subtract your expenses, equals 0. Okay? So if you make $5,000 a month, you're going to put $5,000 worth of expenses until it hits 0. This is giving every dollar a job. Okay? This is how Joe and I do it. Okay? We meet at the beginning of the month. Within the first 5 days, I like to meet, because after that, the month is off and rolling, and if we haven't done it by then, I found that we'll skip it, which is not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're on track to save especially when we were working on getting out of debt. Now that we're working on paying off our house, I want to squeeze every dollar out of our budget so that we can put extra onto that. We need at the beginning of the month, and then any time that we have an extra payday. Joe is the main breadwinner. He brings a check home from the business once a month, and then we budget that out. I create content on the side, and I also will randomly sell things. So either random things we have laying around or something that I flip. And so then when I get those payments, then we will add them into the household budget and look. Now, if you get paid twice a month, or if you're also where maybe your income's very sporadic, he talks about what to do for that in here. Get the book. And what we do is we look at the events that is happening through the month. So are there holidays? What trips are we taking? Do we have a big birthday coming up? Things like that. When is it seasonally? Jackson needs all new summer clothes before we get there. So that is something that we budgeted into this month's budget. Take a look at those types of things, okay? Next is we fill in the main categories. Now, we are going to walk through these categories because I feel like it is important, but the main thing you want to remember, especially if you're on a very tight budget, is you want to take care of the necessities first. So I'm talking roof over your head, food in your belly, keep the lights on, gas in your car to get to work, and then everything else becomes like a want at that point. And I know that sounds a little bit extreme, but it just depends on where your situation was. When we first started doing a budget, Joe didn't really have a consistent income. So we had to budget like that. And then as the income has grown and as we've gotten further down the road and as we've become, paid off our debt and got that money back, because here's the biggest thing. If you have a car payment that's $200 a month, that's $200 a month that you can't put into your retirement fund or college fund or paying off the house or doing something fun with it. You want to pay off your car so that you can get that money back and then actually use it for the things you want to use it for. That was a big aha moment that I have. We've bought all of our cars in cash since we paid off our car payment. I had a car that I loved. I loved that car. We bought it in cash, and then the engine blew up in it. And do you know how tempting it was to go get another car payment because I really loved that car and I wanted that car. But I did not want to tie up that money every month in that when I could be using it on something else. Like this little red car that we could afford in cash. I hated driving it. I loved the gas mileage. Focusing on the positive here, I loved the gas mileage, but everything else I was like, right? Until we saved up some more money and then we sold that car, and with the saved up money, then we bought the Suburban that I have now. Is the Suburban my dream car? No, I do really like that car because I can fit a lot of stuff in it, but it's not my dream car. And I would like a newer one. I mean, it's pretty old. However, that's not the priority for us. Okay, this is just an example of like using your money. Okay, so let's jump into this a little bit. Charity, number one. So charity, we tithe every month. That is important to us and our household. So first and foremost, we take what we make and then we take 10% of it and I write the tithe check. That is a non-negotiable for us. That's what we do. You have to do what's right for you and yours, but that is what we do. Then savings. If you're working through the baby steps, the first step is to have $1,000 in savings. So if you don't have $1,000 in savings, then you're saving for that. Baby step 2 is then to pay off all your debts once you have that emergency fund. I can tell you when we went through breast cancer treatments, I was so grateful that we did not have any debt payment, like we weren't trying to pay on cars because that would have been so stressful. And 2, that we had an emergency fund. We went through that emergency fund pretty quickly, but it was so helpful to have that sitting there ready to go. Okay. And then when we started getting back on the budgeting after breast cancer treatments, and we kind of didn't feel like we were in survival mode, then we built the emergency fund back up. So now we have 3 to 6 months of emergency fund sitting there. We don't touch it. It is literally in case of an emergency. I feel so much better having that. If you're like baby steps, I don't know. Again, get the book. Okay. Then we talk about housing. So this is literally like rent or mortgage payment, repairs, if you have an HOA, anything like that, that comes into your housing. Okay. And then where are we at here? Where are we at? Utilities. Okay. So then utilities is like lights, gas, water, trash, internet, phones, like all that kind of stuff goes into the utility bucket. You have cable, if you have, I do put like if you have any streaming subscriptions, Netflix, things like that. Side note, if you're really trying to get out of debt, once you get all this stuff down and you're like, oh man, we're spending more than we're making, you start looking to cut those things. Okay? I'm just saying. Next is food. In food goes groceries and eating out. You split it up, okay? Eating out is literally a spot that we shopped out when we were getting out of debt. We did not go out to eat. Like, we did not do it. And going out to eat is like one of my favorite hobbies. And maybe that's why it's my favorite hobby so much right now, is because we just did not do it for so long, because you can save so much money not going out to eat. I'm telling you. Dave talks about using envelopes and cash. I have found I do so much better when I use cash for my groceries. I just stick to my budget better. Okay, spoiler alert, next week we're talking about how to save money on your food budget. So if you're curious about that, make sure you hit follow so you don't miss next week's video. I just do better with cash in certain areas. My husband, if he has cash, it's like Monopoly money for him. Like, he just spends it. So he does better if he has just his debit card, because he has to think about it more. This is another part of the budgeting, is you're going to learn how you and your spouse operate, and then you have to do what is best for you to stay disciplined. Split your food. Then you have transportation. So gas, which, good night right now. Huge piece of our budget. Gas is crazy expensive right now. And then you have like things like saving for a replacement car, saving for oil changes, like all of transportation needs, registration, things like that. Clothing, how much are you going to spend on clothes? This is also another big area that people who like to shop can cut. And probably you need to really evaluate. Ooh, just saying. Ooh, I know, I'm stepping on some toes here. And we go into medical, okay? Do you have standing doctor's appointments? Do you have standing prescriptions, vitamins, things like that, okay? Next category that we go into is insurance, health insurance, life insurance, things like that. And personal, so like this is where childcare, toiletries, cosmetics, hair, books, supplies, gifts, replacement furniture, pocket money, pet supplies, all of that kind of stuff goes in here. I'll tell you, there's going to be some of these that you don't get to put money in. That's what we found, especially when we're trying to pay off things. You really have to look and decide what's more important to me, fixed subscription or putting that money to paying off my debt. When we first started budgeting, I was like, I'm never gonna be able to do anything ever again. Like, literally had these moments where I would just be like sobbing, upset, feeling like I never was gonna get to do anything again. Which, now that I'm on the other side of it, I will tell you, it isn't true. You get to live life again. But being on the other side of having cancer diagnosis and walking through that, I would go back and tell, 30-year-old Marty that was like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm never going to be able to do anything. It's worth it. Because not having the financial stress of worrying about a car payment, going through trying to like beat cancer, so much better. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to get cancer, but I will tell you that life is going to happen at some point in your life. Like, there is going to be something unexpected that happens to you. And if you are like, if we can like have the discipline of this and be ready, I'm telling you, it's so helpful. Recreation. So things like going out, vacation, entertainment, and then debts. And then this is the debt snowball, where you list them smallest to largest. It does not matter about interest rate. I know some of you are like, wait, but the interest, no. You list them smallest to largest, and then you pour everything except a monthly, like the minimum balance, right? You have to pay the minimum balance on all of these, but anything extra, you're pouring it to that first one to get it gone. And then when you cross that off, you move to the next one, and you take that minimum balance, you put it on the next debt, and then you pay it off. And I will tell you, if you are like anything like me, and you like to win at things and you like to be competitive at things, this becomes like a game. And here's one of my things that helps me to stay on budget when sometimes I'm feeling like, I don't want to cook tonight. I want to go out to eat, but maybe we've already spent all the money in that. I think it's a game. How much extra can I save? How much more can I do? It becomes like this really fun, like little competition with myself, and it keeps me going. Okay. So if you need that little tip, I'm telling you, it'll work. You decide where you're going to put it. Okay. And then you have to write it down. This is one of the biggest things. This is one of the biggest stumbling blocks is you got to write it down. Now, we've done it all. When we started using paper just because we wanted to like write it all down, see it all down. And then we moved to a spreadsheet and it did all the calculations for us, which was great. And now we use an app called Every Dollar. It is a Dave Ramsey product. We don't pay for it. We use the free version, which works amazingly well. You just have to kind of pick what's going to work best for you. I found when we were first starting, I really wanted that like tangible, write it down type of thing. Okay. I like to, I don't know, my brain likes that. Even now, I wrote all of my notes for this on paper. But if you were like a technology person, then do an app. And there's other apps out there. We've just used Every Dollar because it's been Dave Ramsey's, and it works great for us. You have to make decisions. Okay, you have to make decisions on where you're going to cut, especially to hit your goals. So if you are really working on getting out of debt, do not want credit card payments anymore, you have to decide where you're going to cut so you can put extra on there. One of the biggest categories that I think that helped me when we were in baby step 2 of paying off all of the debt was looking at those like non-necessary things. What were subscriptions that we could get rid of? What were eating out? Look at all of like vitamins that are coming, clothing subscriptions. How much are you shopping? Do you need new jeans every month? I don't know. Like, are we willing to not have that for a while? Are you trying to follow all of the trends? This is where you have to take a deep dive into your own personal habits and decide what you're going to do or what you're not going to do. I don't know. This is probably going to make some people mad, but this is just my belief on it. And what we have done is like getting out of debt really decided and helped us decide when it was time for me to stay at home. Like be a stay-at-home mom and just be able to like live off less so that I could stay home and help raise Jackson, and that I could help support Joe, and that we could travel when we wanted and I didn't have to ask for the time off or not be able to go because I didn't have vacation or somebody to cover me or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like in this season of our life, that has been more important to us. It also helped me decide when I was going to pick up some side hustles. There was a time I was doing network marketing. I like slowed down on that a lot. I actually went and started working at a salon for a few days a week just to get some extra like side money to help pay on the house and things like that. It also helps decide if you're going to start doing side hustles from home. Are you going to flip things? Are you going to redo furniture? Are you going to, I don't know, are you going to clean houses? Are you going to do UGC? Are you going to start creating content? Like, what are you going to do to help make some extra money? Or do you need to do that? Is that important to you? Or you're like, no, I don't want to do that. Or is it time to go back to work? Like these are all questions that you and your spouse have to decide, see if it's important. But a budget helps tell you all of those things. This is the thing, is we want to tell our money where it's going for all those things I just talked about, okay? And it's really going to help you. And then you do a weekly check-in. I try when I get a receipt at a store to like put it in my app right away, because sometimes I forget. Like when I go into Walmart, I'm not just going for groceries. I end up buying toiletries and maybe a gift and maybe, some clothes. And those are all different budget items. So if I look at my receipt right away, and then I can break it up, and like that's easier because sometimes I forget a week later, or the receipt was wadded up in the bottom of my purse and the ink is no longer legible. I mean, that has happened, right? This next year, because I'm about to turn 40, is my glow up year. And one of the big things is because I am on the other side of cancer, I was sort of stuck. And I didn't know I was stuck until I realized I was stuck. But now, one of the biggest things for me is to just do small actions every single day that's going to help make moves. one of those budgeting. Just leaning into the fact that the boring action is going to make big payments. And today I was just like, man, I was kind of struggling. Like I was like, I don't think I actually want to do this yet. And I haven't even really started because I turned 40 in like 4 days. And then my glow up officially starts. The Lord brought me to this scripture and it said, let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Galatians 6:9. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to give up. I feel like he has asked me to do it for a year. Will I just be consistent for a year and see what happens? I made myself a little sticky of this. Maybe you need a little sticky of that too. Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Don't give up, friend. There is amazing things that's going to happen on the other side of this year. I just know it. What if we could commit 1 year? Will you commit with me? I'm going to do it. There's a lot of other things that I'm committing to that I'm talking to about on my social media, but simple. It has to be simple. Otherwise, it won't follow through. Budgeting is one of them. Next week, we're going to talk about how to save money in the food category, some things that I've learned along the way of doing that, especially with food prices being so crazy high. Some of them you're not going to like, but some of them I really think you will. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. Follow for next week's Money Monday, where we talk all things budgeting. If you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment below if you takeaways, thoughts, if you want to have a video that is just specific to the baby steps, I absolutely can do that. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, we'll chat soon.